Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Dstyles, and welcome to episode 1 of Shooting with Style. So before we get into it, I just want to give a quick breakdown on how this tutorial series will work out. So the tutorial series is broken up into 4 sections, and each section has an overarching theme that we will explore to help you at home become a better photographer. This first section that we are in will go over basic usage of the camera, so different modes, what the exposure triangle is, and recommendations of equipment that you should be using. And we can just get that knocked out of the way right now. If you have a interchangeable lens camera, it doesn't matter the brand, and a kit lens, you are good for this course. Now, personally, I use a Sony a7 III, and I have a couple of prime lenses. Right now, I'm shooting on the Samyang 35mm f2.8 lens. Now, if what I said to you sounds like an alien language, don't worry, I'll explain everything. But for now, let's get into what today's video is about, and it is about using your control wheel on your camera. And in particular, what the hell is maps? Alrighty, the first one on our list is M. And M stands for manual shooting. So what manual mode allows you to do, it will allow you to be able to freely adjust your shutter speed, ISO, and aperture values of your camera. This, as I said before, this was the way I got brought into photography. That's the way I was trained. So for the purpose of this tutorial, I will be training you guys how to do it. That's not to say you can't use other modes, but this is the mode that I am most comfortable in because I have that shooting experience and I can pretty much gauge where I need to be at exposure wise on site, but that pretty much just comes with experience. And as you progress along your photography journey, you'll be using manual mode more and more, especially if you want the most control out of your camera and out of your equipment in general as possible. So that's manual. The next one is aperture priority. So aperture priority, as the name suggests, gives priority to whatever aperture number you set within your camera. So within these priority modes, you can only set that one value. The camera will handle the other two. So in aperture priority mode, I can only set the aperture, and my shutter speed and ISO are controlled by the camera. So this is good if you're just starting out and you know what aperture you want to go for. Most people like to shoot wide open on their lens. Now, wide open refers to when your aperture number is at its lowest number. Although in terms of light and how it's scaled on the camera, technically it's its highest number, but we will break down what that means in another episode. So for now, just know that the lower numerical value for the aperture number means the more light you let in. The higher the numerical value on the aperture number means the less light you let in. Now, with that in mind, aperture priority gives you freedom to not have to worry about what your shutter speed should be at or what your ISO value should be at if you want to get a nice blurred out background like this, or if you want to get everything in the image in focus. It just takes away the need to have to worry about those values, which is okay. It's great when you're just starting out. It's great in certain situations that you need it, but like everything else, it is just a tool. So let's move on to the next one. Now we've reached program mode. Program mode is one mode where you don't really want to use it on your camera. Like if you've spent $700, $600, $1,000 or anything like that on a camera, you're not buying it so that it can make the creative decisions for you. Program mode, like I just stated, is when the camera makes those decisions for you. It controls the exposure, so you cannot change the aperture, shutter speed, or ISO values of your camera. The camera does this automatically by looking through its image sensor and taking a guess at what you want to take a picture of, and it exposes for that. Now, there are ways around that by moving focus points and other things like that, which we will get into in a future episode. But for now, it's not really a good mode that you want to be in if you're trying to understand how the camera works more in depth, and if you want to have control over your images. If you don't want to have control, then by all means, go for it. But if you want to have control over your images, then it is advised to stay away from program mode. Now, quick sidebar. Different cameras also have multiple program modes. So it could be, in Sony's case, they have like a secondary program mode and a primary program mode. So it'll like put in a little bit of extra work. Now with the rise of AI in firmwares, the camera will make some adjustments to try and better that image for you. So that's program mode. Please don't use it. And for this tutorial, we will not be using it at all. Alrighty, last but not least, we have shutter priority mode. So shutter priority, just like the name sounds, gives priority to whatever shutter speed you set. This is primarily useful if you are trying to shoot low light photography, or you're trying to do long exposure and you don't know what ISO value and aperture you need. You can just let the camera decide all that. So this is good for just getting started with that. But like I said previously, you're not fully in control of that image. So it's good when you're first starting out. It's good for certain situations. But if you want to learn how everything works, then you do it manual. And that is it. Let me just adjust my chair. There we go. That is it. First episode in the books. Hope you all learned a little something about how to control your camera. I know some people don't like looking at instruction books when they get new toys or new cameras or new anything. And you probably pulled that move, and when you saw your camera, you just looked down at it like, okay, what is all this? But hopefully after watching this episode, you know at least what those 4 functions on your control dial mean. So as I said earlier in the video, we will be having an episode on the exposure triangle, and that will be episode 2. And you can expect that next week. So thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, drop them down in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and please hit that bell so that you can get a notification when new episodes pop up. As I said, I will be doing this weekly, so expect some fresh new learning content on a weekly basis. I've been Dstyles, and thank you for tuning in to episode 1. I will see y'all in the next episode. Peace.